Mass chaos at the polls is what they're saying in Dallas County. Are you shocked that it's only the Dallas County Democrats that needed to sue to keep the polls open for 2 more hours because they didn't and can't follow simple rules? The literal quotations in our local media in DFW is, "We're seeing chaos, mass, widespread confusion." Why are the Republicans not confused? I'll talk about my experience at the polls and who I voted for and how the Democrats can't figure out how to vote. I can't believe I have to say that. That's coming up in just a moment. Also, more on the terrorist in Austin. Why is it that WFA TV Channel 8 and some others are saying, was the mass shooting on 6th Street a terror attack? Will we ever know? Are you freaking kidding me? And also the latest on the war in Iran, but most importantly is my friend Jim Dutton. Jim Dutton from Texas Home Improvement. Jim Dutton is the owner of Due West Plumbing and Foundation Repair. My wife worked there for 3 years. We're friends with their family, and Jim has done everything in this house. All my plumbing, all my foundation. So he's going to talk about what you and I need to know about right now with our homes. Jim has saved me thousands, tens of thousands of dollars over the years, and he's a dear friend. So can't wait to talk to him in just a few on how to protect your house right now. Some of the most important things you can do. Believe me, he's taught me a lot. All that's coming up. But first, Randy Martin, IRSprob.com. Randy Martin and IRSprob.com, the title sponsor of Croc Talk with Chris Croc. My CPA for over 8 years. He does all my business stuff with taxes. My wife, Faye, and her business. And even when our kids mess up, and check that they're not a dependent when they're living in my home. IRSprob.com. IRSprob.com is our number, is that information for Randy. All right, so here's what we have going on in here's what we got going on in Dallas. I wish I could say I was making this up. The first thing I had when I went to the polling location in Dallas County, they were freaking out. "What are you doing? Wait. I'm like, what? This might not be your polling place. Hold on, lady. I didn't say this to her, but hold on, lady. I'm not a Democrat. I know my freaking polling places." And so the Democrats are mad that the Republicans you cannot have a countywide voting location where you can go anywhere unless both parties agree. It's Texas law. This is not some Republican trick. It's a state law. And so I go to my polling place. It's the same freaking place I've gone since I've moved into this area. It's one place. It never changes. I go there and they're acting like I'm trying to, sneak in and with the Chinese army or something. So I go in there, and of course I voted for Sharia law. I want Sharia law, absolutely. I want women to be treated like cattle. And of course I voted for the illegals to have all sorts of health care and rights. I love that was on the ballot. And I love that I was on the Republican side when I went in and voted, because I talked to the guy who was joking with me. I guess we're all Republicans when you go in there and they're volunteering and stuff. I went to the guy and I said, afterwards, we were joking around before, and he asked me for my ID. I said, "That's racist. If you're on that side over there, it's racist." And then afterwards, I went up to him and I gave him my ballot that was printed or whatever. And I said, of course, I voted for Sharia law. We want that, and health care for illegals. And he said, "Yes." And he got the joke. So you had Democrats that were too stupid. We spent $1 million in Dallas County, the Commissioner's Court, to tell people in a campaign with mailers and advertisements, "Hey, moron, only go to the polling place that's in your precinct." And they still, not Republicans, the Democrats still couldn't figure this out. And so they got a Dallas County judge to say, you can keep the polls open 2 hours later till 9 p.m. if you're a Democrat, but not for Republicans. Isn't this unfreaking believable? It's amazing. Clay J was out there saying, "Yeah, there was mass confusion. We need to change this." Total BS. And by the way, I have one name for you on this. Bruce Sherbet. Do you remember Bruce Sherbet? Bruce Sherbet was the best, one of the best, if not the best, elections head, running elections commissioner in the entire country. But woke John Wiley Price says he's not a friend of JWP. He's not a minority, so he got him fired. Bruce Sherbet was then scooped up by the smart people of Collin County, where he's been since then. And guess what? There ain't no problems in Collin County because Bruce Sherbert runs that election because JWP and the woke leftists in Dallas County chased him out. So this is what you get. Remember Tony Pippin's pool? She was the previous one as a friend of JWP. And she was so incompetent after they fired Bruce Sherbert. She was so incompetent they fired her within 2 or 3 years. That woman was an absolute fool. So this is the big story. And then here's a Democrat in the Dallas News saying, if the goal of the Republican Party was to make voting more difficult, they've succeeded this day. No. Do you speak in the English? Follow the directions. Por favor. Gracias. We're seeing chaos. Hundreds turned away at Dallas County polls, says the Dallas Morning News. They're making it difficult. They're eroding every single right that makes America, America. And one of those things is voting, says one of the Democrats. How did I vote and have no problems today? I never got these notices and these notifications about the poll stuff. I just went to the same poll. Who says I'm going to go on the other side of Dallas County? Just go to where you live. That's stupid, though. And here's a little bit more from a journalist named Bayless Wagner. Clay J said up to 90% of voters who went to polling locations were rerouted to new ones Tuesday. 90% of the Democrats couldn't figure out basic instructions. And by the way, this wasn't the case during early voting. You could have voted early. No problems in Collin County. Tellerico in the latest Emerson Nexstar poll is leading Jazzy by 5. We want Jazzy. Jazzy was alleging like racism at the polls or that the polls were getting rigged. You're going to love this. Look at this. Here we go. Jazzy Crockett. Everything's rigged.
All Red has already stated. We encourage each and every one of you to remain resilient. We cannot allow this type of behavior to be rewarded because so long as they know that they can win, even if it means cheating, then they will continue to do it. So I am asking you, I am begging you.
Cheating? Who's cheating? Who's cheating here?
To make sure that you go ahead and figure out where it is that you are supposed to vote. Stand in line, wait in line.
This poor fool's acting like we somehow switched where their local polling location is. It's cheating! Oh, wow. Anyways, pray that Jazzy wins. Don Huffines and Agricultural Commissioner Sid Miller were endorsed. Huffines for Comptroller and Ag Commissioner for Sid Miller. Sid Miller's a nutball, but I love that. He's our nutball. We've had him on the show a lot of times when I was on the radio. But both Don Huffines is an amazing man. He's a sweet man. I told you about Boy Scouts and my son getting a second-class merit badge with an elected official. It was Don, and Don was amazing to us. And they took our scout troop on a tour of the Capitol after that, and he was as sweet and gentle and awesome as you could possibly imagine. I'm a big Don Huffines fan, and I'm glad to say I voted for him and Sid Miller today. Sid Miller's gotten a bunch of threats to his personal safety from his outspoken condemnation of the Islamification of Texas and the U.S., so he's standing firm. Ryan Binkley, I voted for him too, by the way, and I hope he wins. Here we go, mass shooting. Mass shooting on 6th Street. Was the mass shooting on 6th Street a terror attack? WFA TV Channel 8 says, we will never know. We may never know. Will we ever know? I don't know. Do you think maybe it's the sweatshirt that he was wearing, the hoodie that said property of Allah? Do you maybe think it is the shirt beneath property of Allah that had an Iranian flag on it? Do you think maybe, have you read the Daily Mail, WFA TV Channel 8? They had a litany of all of his radical Islamist stuff he put on his social media feed, and you still say we may never know his motive? His wife divorced him for spousal abuse, and he said, no, my Islamic faith. In other words, Sharia law. And but she was granted a divorce from the domestic abuse stuff, according to the reports I read today. So this is why we want Sharia law, obviously, in Texas, so men can treat women like cattle, as I said in that viral video that everybody and their brother was playing and watching the other week. It was a radical Islamic terror. In fact, the terrorist, deceased terrorist, tweeted, the Islamic Revolution is eternal before the attack, but we may never know his motivations. He worked as a realtor in San Antonio, later his wife sued for a divorce over cruel treatment, cited his Islamic faith in his defense. Hey, man, I can treat my wife like cattle. I therefore reject her many lies, he said. That would be okay in Sharia, by the way. So that was the judge granting a divorce to his ex-wife. Here we go. From Texas Scorecard. Alleged jihadist commits shooting in downtown Austin. Previous resident of the Bronx had a series of arrests in New York and Texas. An imam from Parkchester, New York, stated what WFAA won't. He said that the terrorist, who he had previously known, became radicalized by pro-Palestinian activists. In other words, pro-Hamas activists. He also tweeted out some other stuff, too. Oh, by the way, the woke Soros DA, Jose Garza, who works with all these leftist projects funded by Soros, is literally bringing in those 3 Texas Austin officers that shot and killed that terrorist. He's bringing them into a grand jury for murdering the terrorists who now killed 3 Texans in that bar and wounded 13 others. They have to get a lawyer and defend themselves for a righteous shoot of a terrorist. An attorney has been asked by the Austin Police Association to represent him, Doug O'Connell. He said he'll be with them every step of the way. All of us will pray for these guys. The officers are potentially facing charges. The attorney says it's sad. A Quran was found in his car. Gee, we don't know what his motives are. His social media accounts showed he frequently abused Jewish people online, branding conservative women as quote-unquote whores, backed Iran to destroy Israel in a series of hate-filled posts. But we don't know his motive, do we? His guns were purchased legally in 2017. He drove by the bar, fired a pistol through the window without entering, parked, and then came out with a rifle when the cops shot and killed him after he killed 3 of our beautiful civilians. He also called people that supported Israel and the war in Iran Zionists, Islamophobes, just like all the leftists. It's a litany of leftist talking points, calling Christians as fake imposters. Only someone demented would believe what you Christians say. Posts aimed at attacking Christianity, Israel, Jews, and conservatives. This is good versus evil. He's evil. The terrorists are evil. All sorts of stuff he put up here. MAGA influencer Valentina Gomez, running for Texas Congress, promised to make her state the worst place for jihadists and illegals to live. And he wrote back in October of last year, trying so hard to assimilate, you ain't one of them quote, wetback B words. So this is the guy who murdered those people, and WFA can't figure out his motivations. We may never know. War in Iran. I want to get to that in a moment, but first, I'm very honored and proud to have 2 great sponsors. One is Randy Martin from IRSprob.com. You know Randy Martin. He'll be on the show later this week. He's my CPA. He's been my CPA and my wife's CPA for over 8 years. We are dear friends with him and his wife, who went to church together at First Baptist Dallas. And I know his whole staff. IRSprob.com, IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, tax planning strategies. So if you have issues with the IRS, Randy Martin is your guy. He's at Quorum Drive and basically Beltline and the Tollway. He can help you throughout the Metroplex, throughout Texas, and even all across the country, including people like my parents. Randy's amazing. Use him. I love him dearly. Also, Jim Dutton from Texas Home Improvement, who is joining us in just a few minutes to tell you how you can save a lot of money in your home by being wise with basic things that he taught me. I want to focus, when I have him on, not only on what he thinks we need to do right now for our homes, but what he taught me as a homeowner that has saved me so much money that so many people don't do and don't know basic, simple things that you have to do to protect your house. There's a reason why everybody in my neighborhood has replaced their pipes in the past 5-10 years, and I haven't yet, knock on wood. It's going to happen one day. So Jim Dutton, of course, the owner of Due West Construction and Foundation Repair and Plumbing. Jim does all sorts of work for you throughout the Metroplex. Foundation repair, plumbing, retaining walls, and concrete leveling. It's a family business. I know a lot of the family. And whenever anything, and it says it right here, they stand behind everything they do, and I know that. There's been some times when they did some things. I'm like, can you do this a little bit? And they tweak it, and they do it absolutely, Chris. They're amazing. DueWest.com, do-west.com, D-U, it's right on the screen there, du-west.com, or call 972-406-0912. Can't wait to talk to Jim in just a couple minutes. Let's go to Iran, the war in Iran right now, and then we'll get to chat with Jim. First of all, I'm going to show you the pictures of some soldiers. You know, I know this means a lot because so many of us have loved ones that serve. I have a loved one in my family that is still serving. I know Jim has some really brave sons that are heroes in my eyes, and I think in his eyes too. It's even harder for all of us today to see that we lost 4 of our soldiers in Kuwait. Actually, 6, we found out today. 6 of our soldiers killed. 2 have not been identified. The first 4 are right here. Captain Cody A. Cork, 35, Winter Haven, Florida. Sergeant First Class Noah L. Tejans, 42, from Bellevue, Nebraska, God's country. Sergeant First Class Nicole M. Armour, a woman, of course, paid the ultimate price for her country, 39 years of age. White Bear Lake, Minnesota. That's suburban Minneapolis. I used to do a show there years ago. Sergeant DeClan Cody of West Des Moines, Iowa, 20. That's the second Des Moines area soldier that we've lost. I fill in Des Moines fairly regularly, and we lost a National Guardsman in Syria, if you remember that, in the past month. God bless them, God rest their souls, and pray for their families. Russia has said today it lost all contact with Iranian nuclear leadership. Ruh-roh, Rastro, that's a good thing, obviously. Here is a woman who says her husband is serving right now in Iran, in the area there, and she's attacking her commander-in-chief of her husband and attacking what he's doing. Watch this.
He's also not happy, and I will say more than any other decision that any commander-in-chief has made, in his entirety being in the military, more service members are being vocally upset about this than we've ever seen before. But it is very obvious to a lot of service members and a lot of military families that this has nothing to do with protecting Americans. This has everything to do with distracting from this administration's dismal performance at home. And what we aren't okay with, what my husband isn't okay with, is risking their lives to serve that distraction.
You could be a registered Democrat who hates Trump, which my guess is that's who she is. But when you attack the commander-in-chief's husband, then when you attack the commander-in-chief's husband, well, then there you go. That is exactly the kind of problem we're looking at going on there. And so I think that he's in a lot of trouble. That's exactly what I think. So, that's just crazy, and I think he's going to get in some big trouble, some absolute big trouble. Let me now go on to what else I have for you in the war. 60% of Iran, 61% of people think Iran possesses a real national security threat, and that's accurate. I've told you about this. They've attacked, and I've got a long list. I'm going to share it from Katie Pavlich. I'm going to share it from you, from Katie Pavlich. I'm going to tell you what's going on. Just got a quick message across the board. I've told you that Iran, our Navy was at the highest level of attack since World War II. They literally said this under Joe Biden at the time, the Admiral of the Navy or whoever was in charge of that part of the world, CENTCOM or whatever it was, or AFRICOM, said that our Navy was at the highest level of combat since World War II because of Joe Biden and the fecklessness and the attacks from the Houthis out of Yemen. They also attacked Jews and Americans relentlessly in Gaza, including October 7th. They were at the height of their power October 6th. If they could have gone back, they never would have done October 7th. That's why this is all happening. They have attacked us and Jews and killed them in Gaza. They have attacked us and killed Jews and us from Yemen. They have attacked us and killed Jews from Lebanon and from Syria. And Bashar al-Assad has been deposed, as you know, because that was his bestie. That was the Ayatollah's bestie. They're running narcotics and weapons through Syria into Hezbollah and Hamas. They have killed hundreds and hundreds of our soldiers and Americans, which I'll go through. I gave you part 1 yesterday, but I'll give you part 2 in just a second. Among voters who served in the military, that lady who says, my husband's against this and you're doing this to distract us from the failures of the Trump administration is total BS. And I'll tell you why. Here's voters who have served in the military, like her husband who is serving. 59% of those who have served in the military approve of the U.S. strikes on Iran. 39% of people who have served in the military disapprove. So 60% basically of all military people that served, veterans, support what we're doing because they know. Here's a quick litany of people that have been killed by Iran. This is part 2. Yesterday I gave you part 1. By the way, another thing that broke tonight, fake news CNN reporting, they could be right once or twice a day like a broken clock. CIA is working to arm Kurdish forces to trigger an uprising in Iran. They will be going into western Iran, Kurdish forces, because they border northern Iran, as part of some kind of a ground operation over the course or at some point during the next few days. Hey, here's a real big point. People say, oh, this is going to be like Libya where we've prosecuted the war from the top. By the way, the War Powers Act, did they apply at that point to Hussein Obama and Hillary? I don't think so. They don't. Trump's got 60 days. He gave a formal notice today, but he gave them a notice on day 1. But let's go to how many people have been slaughtered by Iranians just starting in January of 2007. I gave you before 2007 for 20 years prior. January 2007, a dozen men with IRCG, Iranian Revolutionary Guard Quds Force, killed 5 U.S. soldiers and wounded 3 others in Karbala, Iraq. March 2007, former FBI agent Robert Levinson disappeared in Iran, likely in prison, and died. July 2014, Iran-backed Hamas terrorists killed 2 American citizens serving in the IDF. October 2015, Iran-backed Hamas killed an American citizen and his wife in a drive-by shooting in the West Bank. December 2019, American civilian contractor killed, wounded several U.S. service members in a rocket attack on our base in Kirkuk. January 2020, 109 troops suffered traumatic brain injuries in Iranian ballistic missile attack on the Ain al-Assad airbase in Iraq. September 2020, U.S. intelligence says the Iranian regime was considering a plot to assassinate our U.S. ambassador to South Africa. September 2022, killed an American citizen in Iraqi Kurdistan. November 2022, killing of an American citizen in Baghdad. March 2023, killed an American contractor, wounded 5 service members. October 2023, Iran-backed Hamas terrorists killed 46 Americans and kidnapped at least 12 Americans on the October 7th massacre. On October 7th, killed 46 of our American people and kidnapped 12 Americans. January 2024, 3 U.S. service members killed and wounded, more than 40 other members in a drone attack in Jordan. 2000, between October 2003 and November 2024, Iran and their proxies conducted more than 180 attacks against U.S. forces in the Middle East, wounding more than 180 service members and killing 3 service members. November 2024, an Iranian national, an IRCG asset, was charged for plotting to assassinate President Trump. So there you go. They tried to kill President. Obviously, we know that one. June 2025, Iran-backed militias attacked at least 3 U.S. bases in Syria and 2 bases in Iraq. Case closed. Let's go to my friend Jim Dutton from Texas Home Improvement, the host of, and of course, Due West Foundation Plumbing and Repair. Hello, Jim. How are you? Hold on one second, Jim. Now I can't hear you. Isn't that funny? Hold on.
How about if I unmute my...
There you go. I'm like, is it me? Oh, no, my gosh. You know how... We're both small business owners. Oh, my gosh. If there's a problem, it's going to happen. You right?
Yeah, always.
So, Jim, first of all, it's great to have you, and it's great to have you as a sponsor. Jim, I just want to start out by saying that you and Due West Plumbing and Foundation Repair have been working on my house for over 11 years, and you're the reason this house has sustained itself so well compared to other people in my neighborhood. Do you want me to tell you? Can I tell you about that real fast, or do you want to tell me about what you know? Because, I mean, you know my house.
Well, I know that your house is eventually going to need those cast iron pipes.
I know. I know. And I remember you told me like about 50 years when they start going, right? When the house is 50 years old. Mine's from 68. I'm screwed. So that's like 57 years. Yeah. And Jim, everybody on my neighborhood, the street, for like 5 years, no one's had to do it because I think they've all been done. They all went out like, 1 to 5 years ago, maybe even 2 to 6 years ago. So, and I asked you this because I didn't buy this house until you approved it by your inspections. And everybody needs to know that. So what I did was because we were already friends at that point. I've done a lot of work with you, and so I really, really trusted you. And so I had you guys come over and you checked my foundation to see if it needed to be fixed, right, before I put an offer on the house for said yes. And then, and you guys took a leveler. What do you do when you do that?
Well, we took, first we draw the house up, including the interior walls and everything. Then we take elevation readings using a CompuLevel. It's a glorified water level. It gives you a digital readout. You mark an area for 0, and you take this little box, you set it in different places, and it tells you how much higher or lower it is from your reference point where you set for 0. Then you can look at where all the trees are on the property, the drainage issues, all the different things that I've been telling you for years to take care of. Some of which you have done, some of which you haven't.
Oh, no! What did I not do? What have I not done? You're scaring me.
Well, how's that big tree in your backyard doing?
Oh, you did it! You did it! This is the funniest thing in the world. I have to take a picture of my tree and send it to you guys. I put it on the show. Jim, this is so true. Jim has been eyeing this massive. And Jim, it's a junk tree. You know this. It's a mulberry.
It is.
I never put that. I wouldn't put a junk tree in. You wouldn't put one in. But you told me so many people have no idea. You cannot. Basically, Jim, is it the canopy of the tree cannot go over the house without a root shield? Is that right?
Well, the drip line of the tree, which is the farthest point of the canopy, your roots will go 1/3 to 1/2 further out than that drip line is. So, your tree is covering the whole darn house.
Yes, some idiot like 40, 50 years ago, whatever, 57 years ago, planted a mulberry crap tree. It is literally, Jim, I don't know, like 8 feet round, do you think? It's unbelievable.
It's probably more like 12.
And didn't you and I agree that it's probably going to be like $6 to $8 grand to remove that stump?
Yeah, but I'm not worried about the stump.
What are you worried about?
I'm worried about what it's doing to your foundation.
Oh, jeez. But remember, you did the root shield. So everybody just, so Jim came over, Johan, his son came over, did all the readings, and then I had a crack in the corner of my foundation, which Johan said, basically at this point, your house is on the bubble. And he said, if you water your foundation day in and day out, and you've taught me this, Jim, people don't understand it, and they don't do this, and they wonder why they have massive foundation problems with the door stick. You've taught me this. Jim tells you 7 a.m. every morning and 7 p.m. is how he does it, just twice a day, once in the morning, once at night, 15 minutes, year-round, not just when it's hot, right, Jim? Water your foundation. And so, Jim,
look how high it's been this winter, and this is normally our wet time. So right now, normally we would be playing catch-up from last summer.
Yeah.
Well, we're still trying to keep up with last summer because it's been so dry.
And so Jim,
you got to do it year round.
So now you did a foundation, you did a root shield. So Jim, he said, first of all, water your foundation, which I did, and my son and I dug, because you have a system that you teach people how to do on their own to make your own underground water. What do you call it?
Using soaker hose. It's a foundation water.
And the funniest thing in the world is, I don't know if you know this, I probably told you, but like we dug all this work, and then we found that we actually had regular installed professional ones with the sprinkler system, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But so so it's underground. But Jim, the only time you tell us to not water is when it's like below freezing. Is probably when you should stop.
Well, and the only reason you're stopping then is to protect the fittings and stuff. There's no reason to.
Jim, I've told people, and you tell me if I'm wrong, basically what you're telling people is make an underground water curtain, basically, that goes down 5 or 6 feet, that is a soaked up ground 2 feet wide or so, Jim? And tell us why that's right and if I'm wrong on that.
Well, it's actually a lot wider than the 2 feet because it will come down kind of like the gravel on a railroad track and spread out but through capillary action, that water will migrate all the way through underneath the house. It just takes a few years.
So, Jim, what is it doing? Why do we do that? To protect our foundation?
Well, when the soils dry out, when you're on the black gumbo clay soils, when they dry out, they shrink. When they get wet, they'll expand again, but not as much as they were the time before. The soils in our area are actually considered new soils compared to a lot of other soils because they were pushed down here during the ice age and they have not completely consolidated yet. And so every time you go through that cycle, you get a little more consolidation.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't keep it dry all the time, so you keep it moist and keep it expanded, and you minimize your problem.
So basically, you're minimizing the shifting underneath your foundation.
Correct.
Okay. And then second of all, is that one of the reasons why my pipes probably have lasted this long? Because, I mean, you guys did this with me 10, 11 years ago.
It definitely helps because it minimizes the soil movement. And a lot of times what's happening with these cast iron pipes, yes, they're deteriorating, they're rusting and stuff like that. But from the moving soil, they'll get cracks that run a long ways with the pipe. Now, there are pipes that are just plain going to deteriorate and rot away. But the cracks from the moving soils, now you're compounding the soil movement problem. Because as that pipe cracks and it gets leaks, you get in a moist area and you got the other areas that are dry. So now you got differential movement. One spot's going up, one spot's going down, and it makes the problem even worse.
And then tell people why, because you guys also told me something like a root shield. What's a root shield? Why would I need that? And you guys told me that I had like 3 trees basically that are too close to the house or at least need a root shield. Now you're gonna laugh and bring up that damn tree. Excuse my language. That damn tree again. Which I would wave a wand. It does look beautiful back there, by the way, with the ivy. But it's like it's one. It's so. Wait, are you admitting it does?
It looks nice.
The tree that he's been wanting removed for 10, 11 years. And Faye, my wife, who worked with you guys for you and your beautiful wife Mary for 3 years and loved it. It was like, Jim, what did Jim say? Jim told you to do this, and I'm like, yeah. Well, do we have $8,000 right now for a freaking tree? $8,000 for a tree. I get nothing out of it, Jim. I don't get a car.
Yeah, but here's truth of the matter.
Yeah.
Down the road someday, when you do have to do something to your house, foundation-wise, you will wish you had paid that $8,000 to get rid of that tree.
Oh, really? Okay. So now we did something. So the tree. Let's talk about the tree. You guys do root shields. Why do you do that? And you had them. I had like half my house had root shields on them with you guys.
Well, the main reason is the tree roots grow underneath. They take a lot of moisture out of the soil. Again, you're causing the problem. And if you put a watering system around for the irrigation system for the foundation, now that's going to attract even more roots from the tree because they got moisture there. So you'd put in a root barrier, and there's a lot of different types of root barriers. I mean, there's some that are fabric with root inhibitor beads. There's some that are metal. There's all kinds of materials. I use a high density plastic.
Right.
So the roots can't just grow back through it. The roots are typically in the top 18 inches. So I go 36 inches deep so that the roots don't hit it and just go under the shield. And what that does is it keeps the soil from taking on or losing its moisture.
So Jim, with the root shields you did, and I was surprised how many we had to do and how long. I mean, you guys literally did the entire back and side of our house almost, and then the other side. Can they go back through there eventually?
I can't say they won't ever go back through, but I've been putting in root barriers now for the last 40 years. Mm-hmm. I'll let you know when the first one goes through.
There you go. So does that still mean I'm going back to my house and I'll stop it? But that still means I got to get rid of that tree because it's. I mean, how is it affecting it now?
I just like giving you a hard time.
Yeah! Jim, you have replaced my water heater.
Yes.
Tell me what we need to know about water heaters.
Well, water heaters are a funny thing. When people are looking at houses, the realtor's always listed as, this house has a new water heater, like it's some kind of big deal. Water heaters aren't that expensive. Mm-hmm. Run that puppy until it starts leaking or dies on you. There's not a reason to replace it just because it gets old or out of warranty. Get a lot of calls from people who say, I've had this water heater for 8 years. It's been out of warranty the last 3 years, and I know it's going to go out on me anytime. It's not unusual for water heaters to last 20 and 25 years.
Wow.
Let it go. When you do replace it, I highly recommend people nowadays to take a look at tankless water heaters.
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago, I was telling people, if you want to go tankless, hey, that's great. But the technology has really come a long ways. 10 years ago, if you had a gas tankless, you had to run a larger gas line than a tank type water heater.
Mm-hmm.
It was very expensive to retrofit. On new construction, it was a given, put in a tankless.
Really?
But nowadays, the new tankless water heaters use the same size gas line as the tank.
Okay.
And so it's not that expensive. And the big difference, a tankless typically will last twice as long as a tank.
Wow. No more of those nasty noises.
No nasty noises because it doesn't have a tank that's holding all those mineral deposits in it. And the secondary thing, people, they're always worried about draining the water heater. And in the old days, it was recommended to drain a tank every year, flush it out, get the mineral deposits out. If you waited more than 2 years, the mineral deposits were there, leave it alone, let it go. To be honest with you, I have never drained my water heater.
I asked you that way back when, and you're like, no, just leave it, dude. Just replace it when it goes bad in several years down the road. Let it go, right?
Yep.
What else do people need to know for right now? I mean, this is to me, it seems like, I've lived here for 16 years now, but to me, it seems like it's an exceptionally early spring. Maybe not, but it started earlier at least. You seem nonplussed at my comments there, but you can comment on it, but also tell me, what do we need to be doing right now for our homes that you're thinking about for this time of the year, whether it be for foundation, plumbing, or other stuff? Anything with the house.
Well, there is no doubt. I mean, we had all of 2 weeks of winter this year. That really was it.
Yeah.
So we didn't have really a winter. We went from winter back into spring, and we're heading into summer here pretty quick. And right now, if you need to, I'm going to go off the foundation and plumbing stuff. If your attic needs additional insulation, get it done now. If you wait another month, those guys are going to be swamped. It's going to be top dollars. Right now, they're looking for work. And it's a great time to get a discount on your insulation for the attic.
Okay.
The other thing, radiant barriers. I wholeheartedly believe in radiant barriers. I use one on everything called Energy Q Radiant Barrier. It's a multi-layer system. You can lay it on the attic floor on top of your insulation, and it keeps the heat that's in the attic from getting into the insulation. It does wonders. So
wow.
Those are things I would get taken care of. And honestly, that radiant barrier is really cheap. It gives you a very quick payback on the cost of that material.
And anything else right now that we should be thinking about doing?
It's, as far as protecting the house, I don't think we're going to have another major freeze at this point. We may get some freezing weather still, but it's not going to be major where we're going to have to worry about stuff real heavily. But if you didn't wrap your pipes and stuff, let's get that done. Be ready. I mean, you don't want to wait until do it this summer when it's hotter than heck out there.
Right.
I gave up cussing for Lent, and that's real hard, let me tell you.
I know it is, especially for somebody that works in your business and my business. Especially your business. One can only imagine some of the conversation as you're out there at a construction project.
Yeah. But beyond that, this is the time of year where you need to be checking your roofs, doing your gardening stuff, getting the landscape ready. Watch that you don't build the soil up around the foundation. Everybody should have realistically 3-4 inches of foundation showing.
Yes.
It was built that way.
You taught me that.
What happens, like a house your age, you go walk around it, you've probably only got 2 inches in some areas.
Yes.
And that's because years of landscaping, of mowing the grass and things like that, the soil around the house is raised. And
interesting.
The realistic thing is every 40, 50 years, a yard needs to be regraded, bring it back down, slope and get the water going away from it, and get the foundation showing again, because when you let the soil get too high up on it where you've only got an inch or so
Yep.
showing below the brick, you will start getting moisture going into the foundation, and it starts coming up inside the house as effervescence, that white stuff that looks like cotton candy.
Yeah, yeah.
And typically it's strictly a drainage issue that's getting moisture in where it doesn't belong, and then there's a chemical reaction with the stuff that's in the concrete reacting with the rock that's in the concrete, and you get effervescence coming up.
Interesting. Wow. I thought that was the name of a rock band. Maybe
Could
not.
be.
Yes. Okay. So this is good, Jim. And let me ask you this: as I've told people, you've been my plumber, you've been my foundation guy, and my home expert, and for North Texas, the home expert for Texas home improvement for decades and decades, and such. I really recommend everybody give you a call, not only because you're my sponsor, you're my friend, but because you are my plumber and my foundation guy, and you have been for over a decade. Jim Dutton, Texas Home Improvement host, and Due West Foundation and Plumbing. When you want the best, call Due West. Am I right on that, sir?
Absolutely. And hey, as your friend, I got one other thing for you.
Yes.
I can answer your question from earlier.
Yes.
Yes, it was a terrorist act.
Oh, yes, exactly. So wait, you have figured out? You have figured WFA TV channel cannot figure out.
It was tough, but
yes, we don't know the motive. We may never know the motive of the terror attack in Austin. Wow, Jim, I'm glad that you somehow figured it out. We got to put you in charge.
I had to help you out, Chris.
And you did. Thank you very much, Jim Dutton. We appreciate you, my friend. We'll talk to you very soon. Due West Foundation and Plumbing Repair. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. That was a lot of fun with Jim, and I look forward to that again. Tomorrow, we're going to talk to one of our local patriots, Kyle Sims, who I got the chance to know and talk to and get to know with the Wiley ISD school board stuff. And then on Thursday, we're going to talk to Randy Martin from IRSprob.com and just everything that we're talking about locally with the craziness. But the big story today is Democrats don't understand how to go to the local polling place. Jasmine Crockett says it's racist. They sued and got the polling places open 2 hours more because they're only for the Democrats because they're incompetent and don't know where the local polling place is. And number two, the terror attack, Channel 8 was saying we may never know the motive. We don't know the motive of the terrorists that attacked, the radical Islamist terrorists. And number three, Iran, the war in Iran, and we're doing well. I support it 110%. I know a lot of people might not, but I do. And they have been a threat for years and years and years. And there's a reason they had 900 pounds of 60% enriched uranium. And, I forgot to tell you this. I didn't play this one for you. Steve Witkoff. I'm so glad that I remember this. Steve Witkoff, the negotiator for President Trump, spoke out on Fox News. Let me see if I can pull this up for you because I know I have it in my repertoire of stuff. Here, hold on one sec. Steve Witkoff. All right, I'm going to have to pull it up for you real fast. This is going to be worth the wait. Forgive me. I don't know what happened to it, but I have it here somewhere. Let's see. Because... Hold on one second. Here it is. Hold on. Here it is. I just didn't load it up. I'm going to play this for you right now. This is... Steve Witkoff, the President Trump's chief negotiator with Iran, and in the latest round of negotiations with Iran, when Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, on behalf of President Trump and America, met with the Iranians to try to come up with a deal to end their nuclear program, we offered them nuclear enrichment forever. In other words, we will enrich for you uranium to 6% so that you can use it for your nuclear reactors, so you can have your nuclear power for peaceful reasons. There's no wrong with that. But we don't want you to ever enrich, because there's no reason you do not have to enrich. I think there's like only 6 countries that enrich. You don't have to. You can buy enriched uranium from other countries for peaceful purposes. Iran wants to and has been enriching uranium so they can make a nuclear bomb. And listen to what the Iranians told our negotiators for President Trump, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, when they sat down just a few weeks ago.
90% material, Sean, can be brought to 90%. That's weapons grade, in roughly 1 week, maybe 10 days at the outside. The 20% can be brought to weapons grade inside of 3 to 4 weeks. And let me say this, because I forgot this small little detail. In that first meeting, both the Iranian negotiators said to us directly, with no shame, that they controlled 460 kilograms of 60%. And they're aware that that could make 11 nuclear bombs, and that was the beginning of their negotiating stance. So they were proud of it. They were proud that they had evaded all sorts of oversight protocols to get to a place where they could deliver 11 nuclear bombs.
Oh. So there you have it. They literally were bragging about how much they had and how quickly they could make nuclear bombs. And you could see that negotiator right there. Here, let's go back.
90% material, Sean, can be brought to...
I'm going to jump in the video just to the picture where you can see the part here. Hold on. There. See that Iranian negotiator on the right? Sitting there, and they're all serious. There's there's Jared Kushner, and there is... the chief negotiator for Trump. His name's eluding me now. But anyways, I just said it a million times. And the guy says we have enough, nuclear material to make 11 nuclear bombs and stuff. They just were never going to change. And their whole goal is to usher in the 12th Imam, the end of the world, by wiping off Israel and killing all the infidels, including the United States. So, this has been long overdue, and Trump did not want to ever allow, and I agree with this 110%, ever allow the Iranian terrorist government to ever be able to produce a nuclear weapon after he left if a Democrat wins. This settles it for good. All right? God bless our troops. Pray for them. And I want to also tell you this, that this show is title sponsor of the show is Randy Martin from IRSprob.com, IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, IRSPROB.com, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, tax planning strategies, you name it, he is your guy